Every new morning brings a fresh chance to step closer to the person you're meant to be. Approach each day with purpose and watch the world meet you halfway.
Forgetting the former things, looking straight ahead, holding on to hope, choosing life instead. The power that you hold is in what you believe, so believe for better things. You deserve to be free.
Welcome to Talk More Soon. My name is Brianna Vernon, and Talk More Soon is a brand new Sunday morning talk show that's all about spreading inspiration, positivity, and keeping you motivated throughout the day and the week ahead. As I mentioned, my name is Brianna Vernon. For those of you who know me, you would remember that I was a radio presenter and a radio producer. That's where I believe most people would know me from. For those of you who aren't familiar with me, then before we get into the meat of the matter for this episode, I'm just going to touch on some basic information about myself, right? So you already know my name. I'm a broadcast journalist, an author, and a published writer. I love to sing. I have a few songs out as well. They're also on streaming platforms if you want to go ahead and take a listen. It's Brianna. I grew up in Montego Bay, Jamaica. I love to create, to design, all those things. And that's pretty much the most that I can think of about myself right now. And of course, you will learn more about me as you continue to be a part of this community. You can also follow me on Instagram at Brianna with a Purpose, and follow Noble Media Network, the platform on which Talk More Soon airs, on Instagram at Noble Media Net. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, we can get into the main topic of this first episode. So as the title suggests, we are talking about anxiety and ways we can tackle it, how we can shift our perspective to not allow anxiety to overwhelm us to a degree where we are unable to fulfill our purpose. Because I'm pretty sure we can agree that anxiety has a tricky little way of keeping us bound, keeping us in procrastination, keeping us in depression, and keeping us away from fulfilling those dreams that are actually more attainable than we might believe. So I want to start here. When I decided to leave my job in corporate media, I was working at Mellow FM for a number of years. And when I decided to leave, I remember just feeling and wondering to myself, what next? Will people still be interested to listen to me? Will people know where to find me? Of course, all those questions were swirling around in my head. But I remember when I decided to launch my independent media company, Noble Media Network, in spite of those anxious thoughts, I was met with a lot of warm welcomes, right? A lot of people were just happy for me. They were encouraging. And I was like, okay. So one foot in front of the other, one step at a time, I'm seeing that if I just focus, then I will be okay. Instead of just worrying that, whoa, no one will listen or no one will know where I am, and then staying stuck in that, I decided to move ahead, right? And that's where we are now, right? So first I launched Noble Media Network, and several projects have come out of it. The Independent Report, the website, noblemedianetwork.com, this talk show, Talk More Soon. So things are coming to fruition. Another thing I want to speak about in terms of me tackling anxiety to step into purpose would be when I wrote and self-published my book right here, Safe and Sound, 31 Days of Healing Inspiration. I'll talk more about that later. But I remember even, when I was writing it and getting ready to publish and promote it, I was thinking to myself, Are people really going to read this? Are they going to find it interesting? Will they find it as something that will speak to their issues? Because it's actually, surprisingly enough, about tackling anxiety. That's why it's titled Safe and Sound. Because out of my own struggles with anxiety, I realized that I needed an outlet, and Safe and Sound became my outlet that I'm kind of sharing with the world, because I know that many people like myself face anxiety, just always feeling like the worst is going to happen, or always wondering or playing over scenarios in your head that probably won't even happen at all. But you guys know what I mean. Just the back and forth, the mental back and forth that you go through, that anxiety causes. That's what I was facing. But I still pressed on, and I wrote and published a book. And I remember when I got my first sale for the book, how excited I was. But then a thought slipped into my head, and it was like, are you sure it wasn't your family who bought that book? Because of course, when you're doing new ventures, you're sharing it with your family as well. And so I literally even called my mom and my aunt, and I was like, did you guys buy this book? Because I know they have supported projects that I've done before. So I was like, did you buy this book? And they said, no, we didn't buy it. We didn't buy it. So someone else bought it. Someone who came across the book and was interested in it apart from family decided to purchase the book. And I remember, when I was publishing it, just feeling like that day may never come, but just deciding to publish it anyways, because as one of my aunts said to me, closed mouths don't get fed. Just basically to say, if you don't try, you will never know. So sitting at home with 10 million thoughts running through your head about how it's gonna go or how it's not gonna go will not benefit you. And I remember as well, as I was battling with the what ifs, God said two profound things to me that have literally shifted my perspective. And while I haven't fully overcome anxiety, those words that God spoke to me have definitely given me a strong fighting chance against anxiety. So much so that I can say to it, look, sit down. I'm not going to give you any leverage here. I'm not going to give you any strength, because I know that I can overcome you. And those things that God said to me were, one, He said, do it for purpose, not people. Because let's be real, so many times when we're trying out something new, we're so focused on, I wonder if people will like it, or I wonder if people will support. And sometimes because of those thoughts and the back and forth and the unbelief that we have, we don't even start the project, or we don't move forward with it because we are afraid. And so when God said to me, do it for purpose, not for people, He was saying, look, your purpose remains regardless of whether you think people are supporting you or not. Because sometimes people can even be looking on and being like, oh, she or he's doing well. I'm gonna buy that, or I'm gonna watch their show, or I'm gonna go to their store. And you might not know that they're saying these things, but you're in your own little corner, stressed out. Oh, no one's supporting me. But that's the thing. You don't know what's going on in other people's minds. And then separate and apart from that, with people, they might support you today. They might not support you tomorrow. Maybe a new group of people will start supporting you. You don't know. People, they fluctuate with their desires. And that's okay. And that's why God was saying to me, do it for purpose, because your purpose will always be your purpose. And it will be your driving force to motivate you, to keep you going. And He gave me the example of an apple tree. An apple tree is going to bear its fruit regardless of if anyone is going to pick it. It's going to bear its fruit in its season. And you, the passerby, if you want to pick an apple, you are going to walk over there and pick the apple. But the apple tree is not going to have to chase you down for you to pick the apple or for you to see its value. While you think about that, I'm going to take a sip of my Milo tea. I've been waiting to take that sip. Absolutely love Milo. But yeah, the apple tree is going to bear its fruit within its season, regardless of if you like apples or not. Those who like apples will go over to the apple tree and they will eat the apple, right? And it's the same with you. When you are starting your venture or your passion project, whatever it is, do it for the purpose, regardless of who is seeing or who is not seeing. You still have a purpose to fulfill. The apple tree still has apples to bear in its season, regardless. And it's the same for you. The second most profound thing that God said to me was this. He said, just because you feel uncomfortable in the season or space that you're in now, and just because you feel like you don't belong, doesn't mean you don't belong. It's just unfamiliar territory. And he gave me the example of a baby. When the baby is just born, right? They cry. Sometimes you look at their face and they're like, where am I? They look so confused, but they're meant to be here. Sooner or later, they're going to start crawling, walking, talking, running, and they're going to be operating as if they've been here for years before. And God went a step further and he said, look at that baby when they have finally gotten the hang of things, walking, talking, and but look at that baby when they've grown up and they are now going to school for the very first time. Most children, when their parents are leaving them on that first day of school, they cry, right? Just in the same way they cried when they came out of the womb. I don't know about you, but most babies, I know, when they come out of the womb, they're crying. Or they look confused. In the same way, when the parent is leaving them on that first day of school, the child looks confused. Well, where are you going? Does that mean that they shouldn't be at school getting an education? No. It just means that they're in unfamiliar territory. But they do belong there. And it's the same with you and I. Just because we're in a space where we feel uncomfortable or feel like fish out of water or we are experiencing imposter syndrome does not mean that we are imposters. We're meant to be there. You are meant to be there. And sooner or later, just like that baby, you're going to get the hang of it and you are going to be thriving in that space as if you were always thriving in that space. It's going to become like second nature. And when God explained those two ideologies to me, it literally shifted my perspective permanently. Like when something just completely, your brain just rewire. That's what happened to me. And so regardless of whether I see the support or I don't see the support, I know that I'm doing it for purpose. Of course, though, you want people to like what you're doing and to enjoy it. But you can't just focus on that. Because what if you're not seeing that? Then you're going to give up in 1 week, 1 month? No. So you have to do it for the sake of purpose. Bear your fruit regardless. Because that's your purpose. To bear good fruit. Like the apple tree. And that's basically the word of encouragement that I have for you. This is not a sermon, even though I said a word of encouragement. It's not preaching, but just some inspiration for you. Yeah? And as I mentioned about the book, all about tackling anxiety and understanding that, hey, Just because you are feeling anxious, it doesn't mean you have to give anxiety free reign of your mind and your life. You can shift your perspective to live the fulfilled life that you deserve despite your thoughts and despite the overwhelming feelings that you're having. And so the book is called Safe and Sound, 31 Days of Healing Inspiration. It's also a journal, so there are spaces for you to write, these blue pages. So if you love a cute book with pages to write on, then this is the book for you. Each day has a question that you should basically read to yourself and internalize so that you can shift your perspective. The questions are meant to help you think differently and to really get in touch with your inner man or your inner woman and to understand what is really going on within me. Why do I feel this way? So this book is meant for a one-on-one between you and you. All right, so I hope this first episode was a blessing to you. And if it was, then please do like, share, subscribe, and comment below. Remember to follow Noble Media Network on Instagram at Noble Media Net. Follow me on Instagram as well at Brianna with a Purpose. All right, so that's it. And I will see you next time. Talk more soon.